Hi everybody, welcome to 5outh's Rundown, aka the show I do when, the BPL live streams get cancelled because, yeah, unfortunately, due to some extenuating circumstances that happened earlier in the week and, I currently am in school and such, I will unfortunately have to cancel the coverage for this week's DDR BPL Season 2 match between TAITO Station Tradz and Game Panic, and also LEISURELAND versus Round 1. However, I usually would upload a video like this probably a day earlier, but I was only out of town. I was out of town for a couple of days, and I only returned back just now. I would say like it was 2 hours ago. Yeah, 2 hours ago, and after settling down, I just decided to record the video, or else it would have been way too late. Also, I guess the reason why I kind of want to take a small break from it is because I guess even though I haven't been doing this weekly for a while now, I would admit that the interest for the DDR coverage has been kind of low. So due to so I guess I would consider this a small break too in between, because I was very excited to do this whole thing. So it was just really nice to do a lot of analysis and talk for the Sound Voltex one, but the DDR one, I have to admit it's kind of been wearing down. I guess the motive to do it every single week. But no worries. This is why I'm recording this rundown video. So it's just so there's no really a gap in analysis. So I'm going to I will be covering the match I said earlier, so we can probably transition to the stream layout. And yeah, here we go. So this is gonna be let me move the thing up. Okay. Oh crap. Yeah, I think this is fine. All right, so this is the match. So this is gonna be the match that's gonna be aired today at 9 p.m. Japan time, which is about 5 hours from now. This is gonna be, as I said, TAITO Station Tradz will take on Team Game Panic. A team with a tie record will be facing off against the team with the only losing record in Group A. And for a second round, it's going to be LEISURELAND and Round 1. LEISURELAND had a very close loss, but Round 1 had a pretty decent win on their group. So, it's either going to be Round 1 increasing their lead, or LEISURELAND going to be deeper in the hole. Which, even though it sounds like pretty bad, there will be no eliminations in the group stage. The group stage, the regular stage as they call it, is only pretty much to determine the seeding. So I can assume like last place of Group A will be facing off against the first place in Group B. So it's very similar to how the interleagues work in Savoltex. And I'm good. And yeah, this is gonna be pretty important for three of the teams, especially Game Panic and LEISURELAND, who have lost their matches. They definitely would like to gain some ground here. So. And LEISURELAND's at a bigger disadvantage because they've already used up the costs of one of their players to use a strategy card, which is Ringo. And I think now Ringo only has enough cost to be playing the first matches for the remainder of the games. Which after this match today, these four teams will only have one match left. And so we'll have about 3 more weeks of coverage, or off the top of my head, I can't remember. But yeah, let's just go straight into it. So the first match of Group A is going to be TAITO Station Tradz versus Game Panic. As I said, Tradz tied with Silcat in the first week of matches. And last week, which was the second week, Game Panic suffered a pretty crushing loss against Gigo, where it was 16-3, I believe. But I think Game Panic have sort of arranged their team to account for this, as noticeably Gigo was using up their big guys, which is Hibiki and Unlim, in the final match, and Game Panic only decided to use G's and Yoshiya. So I was assuming that they were purposely going conservative in in the first match, just so they can try to full force the remainder of the matches that they have. Meanwhile, TAITO Station Tradz, they seem to have employed a very similar strategy to the first match, which is a bit confusing. But I do think that they understand that their first draft Udai isn't probably not as DDR ready as the others. Not even though he definitely is an asset because he was a big reason why Silk had managed to secure a tie. He took a song off Kaname, which is Silk Hat's Kaname, which is a very very scary player to fight stuff against. But yeah, let's just probably go over the matches slowly and cover it one by one. So the first match is gonna be the 12 to 14 battle. It's gonna be Gold Tricky. So the songs from DDR DDR Ace to O and to up to Ace 3 or like A3. It's gonna be Thor versus Yoshi. Yeah. This is an interesting match because Thor has shown how fearsome he is in pretty much all the levels that you've seen, and he's consistent. He only had he had one mess up in the match against Ginyasu, which I think costed his team, which I think was one of the reasons. One of the like, Tradz could have won if he had won his match. It was his first match against Ginyasu, which he dropped at the absolute last moment. And Yoshi from Game Panic, he is definitely the designated low level specialist of the team. He had his moment in the last match against Gigo where he was one of the points that they managed to get back in his match against Tsuyoshi from Gigo. So yeah, this is like people who are very very notably good on low level timing, and Gold Tricky means that they're definitely gonna pick. It's gonna be picking a lot of songs from the new era. Well, I would say like people wouldn't usually say like if they focus on a certain, if there are players from like different eras, they probably would be like some players would be more suited to play the classics and some players would be probably more suited to play the new stuff, but I don't think that's really the case here in this BPL. So especially because they would definitely have to had a lot to play a lot after they got selected by teams just to keep up their standard or even improve as before the tournament goes along. So but I do personally have my money on Thor in this one. He's just a more consistent player from my own analysis compared to Yoshi. Yeah, who he is definitely specializing in low levels, but I don't really know if he can stand up to a player like Thor, who's so crazy consistent in around, I would say, the low level, the 12 to the 15 and 16 range. So yeah, my money is personally on a Thor victory here, but yeah, we will have to see. And then the next match is gonna be 15 to 17, classic tricky. It's gonna be Udai versus Jeez. I would say that Jeez is a very very accomplished player. He's one of the veterans of the scene, and Udai has had probably the most accolades and the most like tournament experience. Jeez is a ranker, but again, I've never really seen him much past like those old like Japanese DDR scene videos where he was part of it. But he unfortunately also fell apart during the match against Gigo, where he was maintaining like PFCs and such, but unfortunately his MA just kept leaking perfects in his scores. Meanwhile, Udai, classic tricky. I think being tricky is why I assume he was put here. Because Udai's nickname is Dr. Boost, and it refers to how he always just uses the boost feature. And the thing about the boost function in DDR is that while it makes the thing while it makes the playfield go back and forth, it's really wavy, it basically eliminates eliminates a lot of the reading issues that people have with Softland or the speed changes. We've seen that in the match between Kaname, where Udai's pick up destination. Udai actually won it against Kaname, and he was using the boost feature, and it really saved his bacon especially because when the slowdown to destination happened, Kaname struggled. Meanwhile, Udai was able to maintain his MA and took that match away from him. Admittedly, I haven't seen much of Jesus' expertise in Softland and such. I only know he's one of the true all-rounders in this tournament. Pretty much any level, even very very difficult stuff, he has his foot in. He's definitely not the best by any metric, I would say, but he's a stable like could be relied on player, I would say. Not really sure though about not really sure about his tournament like prowess yet, but we will definitely have to see in the match. I think it could be a draw, but I think, especially because none of these teams have used their strategy cards yet, which will eat up 40 of the players' costs. G's is currently on 80, and they only have one match left. I could see like maybe Game Panic could use a strategy card here to eliminate U dice pick, and if that's the case, then maybe I could see G's maybe winning two. It's either G's winning twice, or G's like getting one off of U die at least. But if they still somehow don't use their strategy cards, I feel like U die and G's might go to a tie. Follow that up, the final match gonna be the return of the Thor and Men duo, as they will face off against Hoshikechi and G's on 13 to 17 white standard. So I feel this is more gonna be a stamina or MA battle. Hoshikechi stamina is, when we talk about stamina, I guess people at Hoshikechi is no surprise. G's, like I said, all rounder. Thor is just extremely like consistent with his timing. Meanwhile, Men, he was a very sought after player in the third draft, but I personally am not sure though. I'm not sure about his further prowess. He has some impressive scores, but the way he just completely like couldn't keep up with, he had troubles keeping up in the Silk Hat and Tradz match, which is making me a bit worried about how he will fare up in this match. But like, of course, Thor is scary. He could take the first place, which is just instantly 3 points. But if Hoshikechi and G's just get second and third, obviously that's just a tie. I could foresee it. Game Panic picking something a bit more stamina intensive. Thor and Men could probably employ one of those standard songs which are not really a standard song. Like some of the pools are a bit odd to me, like a very like obviously very odd choices and such. But I think this is gonna be a match that's gonna be somewhat hard to predict. I could see like maybe in Game Panic's pick, Hoshikechi taking first, or maybe Thor following along. I think the crutch of this match will definitely have to be on Men though, because Thor, Hoshikechi, and G's, I can kind of see how they would perform, but Men still kind of the question mark here, because not really much prior competitive experience. He was very sought after by all the other teams, but he really didn't show up for Silk Hat and Tradz, so I'm not really sure. I still feel like TAITO Station Tradz has the edge here, and Game Panic could potentially be in trouble with this matchup today. But again, I think it really comes down to G's and Yoshiya's performance in the first two matches, and they have a stronger. I would say that the team is more stable in the tag match here. So maybe I feel like it's gonna be a Tradz advantage, but I could see it going Game Panic's way, but I'll probably lean more to Tradz. So I guess that's probably the round 5 breakdown. We could probably go to round 6, which is LEISURELAND versus Team Round 1. LEISURELAND these two were like, I think, two of my personal, like, I found these two teams to be like they might potentially be like the people who will make it to far, like semifinals and even finals, just by the strength of their players alone. But round 1 has performed as I expected, but LEISURELAND has, unfortunately, due to somewhat of a problem in like how they strategize stuff, and how Apina actually managed to take points away from their third draft players, and also like how they strategized to basically disable one of the players, which was Ringo, who plays mainly without the bar. So Apina managed to pick songs that really prey on Ringo's ability to not be able to anchor much. So they picked in Apina versus LEISURELAND, they picked D10 on reflex, and that just completely screwed Ringo over. Even with a Nayu win, all Mamoru and Naughty did was pretty much just maintain their positions, and it automatically was just a tie. If they beat Nayu, it would have been if they would have beaten Nayu, it would have been better. But obviously, I think their pick just says that we're going for a tie in this match because Poe, because I think the key hero in that Apina versus LEISURELAND match was definitely Poe, who took 2 points away from Yuki. Anyway, a team in decent advantage versus a team who probably needs a win by today, or they will be in trouble. We're gonna start with the first match, which is gonna be 12-14 Gold Standard by Ringo versus Zero. I would say that in this match both players are pretty level. Zero, of course, being extremely solid player, good MA and all that. But in 12-14 where there's not much trouble, I would say there's not too much gimmicks. Ringo would be fine. Ringo would also be fine. I would think that I do think his MA is a bit come more into question compared to Zero. Zero has MFC'd a lot of stuff, and I would say that he is just a stronger timer in this match. But with the way how Leisure has strategized, Ringo is basically going to be their first man for both matches. So I do think despite it being standard, despite there not being any disadvantage, despite there not being really any songs that could be disadvantage to Ringo, I just feel like Zero would probably be the better timer, and I would say that round one could take these 2 points, the first 2 points. The next match is gonna be the battle of the third drafters as in the 15-17 as Yuki will take on Henri on Classic and Standard. Henri and Yuki have completely lost both of their matches. Henri lost Henri was put in the first match in the first match against Tohoku, and he unfortunately lost to On, who pretty much had a number. Henri's another no bar player. I was actually thinking he was gonna be a bar player for the BPL, but he actually stuck to no bar, and I was like, this just puts him more prone to situations where he could be like Ringo, but I feel like with how they're delegating stuff, I don't know if Henri is actually gonna play a final the tag match, which is gonna be a bit scary, I would say, to consider. But yes, Yuki also lost his match in the first LEISURELAND match against Poe 2-0, where Poe completely outplayed him in one song, but just barely beat him in his own pick. Henri also had a similar story. He barely lost to On his own pick. So this is gonna be, I guess, sort of their way of redemption. But I would say though, in the 15 and 17 Classic Standard, I could say Yuki just has a slighter advantage here if Henri chooses to persist on playing with no bar. But I could be wrong because Henri has posted some pretty insane scores on the 16 and 15 range. I guess now it's just a question: will Henri use the bar, or will he stick to no bar? But I also don't know whether his amazing practice scores were done on no bar. But yeah, Yuki would have a lot to prove here. He definitely is a good player, but I wasn't really sure much about his accolades past some pretty good low level scores. So I would say today's would be the best chance for him to show off that he can do something for LEISURELAND. So I would say in the second match it could go both ways. Henri could win his pick and Yuki could win his pick, but maybe no strategy cards will be used. But I'm not sure about that either. I will say that it could go 1-1, a draw or something like that. And here we go, the final match of the day. It's gonna be again the combo of Oshima and Zero will be facing off against Nayu and Yuki. I would say that Oshima and Zero are fearsome team. They did suffer a loss sort of a loss in the Tohoku match against Tohoku, where Yoshimiz managed to take first place and effectively render Supernovas pick up Unreality a tie in more matches, but Oshima and Zero have handily won their own song pick, which think is gonna be a big difference. Which was the difference maker, and what basically says that Tohoku have lost. Tohoku have lost. That was like the killing blow in their match against Tohoku, which was them taking first and second for Typhon or Qphon. And yeah, I think the big problem here is probably on LEISURELAND's side. I'm not too sure about Yuki. I'm not too sure about Yuki's performance against these two juggernauts, Oshima and Zero. Nayu is extremely scary, but I'm not really sure if Nayu could, take first place as effectively with these two players, Oshima and Zero, around, because Oshima is definitely Nayu's class and Zero is close to Nayu's class, and the Yuki's a bit far from these three. So I would say that there might be a chance that Nayu could take both matches and effectively tie this whole match by having Oshima and Zero go second and third respectively. But once Nayu falters, it's definitely more of a round one thing. We're definitely gonna go to round one, and that's not a position LEISURELAND want to be in. 2 losses. So yeah, it's a bit hard to say for this match actually. Of course, I think LEISURELAND losing Ringo early in their losing Ringo's cost in the match against Apina, and unfortunately not being able to convert into a sizable victory is really coming back to bite them. And despite there being no eliminations, I think LEISURELAND wouldn't want to face a stronger opponent. So I would say, while today's win is very, very crucial to them, I would say that round one would have the advantage today. I would say this match is very important. The match between Yuki and Henri, as that's gonna be 4 points, and if Henri manages to take those points, I think it's kind of gonna be nowhere town for LEISURELAND unless Yuki really, really steps up. But that's gonna be very, very difficult to imagine against Oshima and Zero. So yeah, I would say that round five could go to Tradz. Not very high chance, but round 6, I do think it's gonna be a round one advantage, and they could get like 2 wins and start and seal their higher seed in the final playoffs. But of course, you'll have to tune into the matches to see if this will be the case. Anyways, I think that's gonna be the coverage of 2 matches. We actually have a change in MCs. We're not gonna have Maxwell Powers in the MCC. It's gonna be Stuart O. Not really sure how this work. Kawaii Konik Ali and Gaho will be back as the Japanese an extra commentator and the Japanese commentator respectively. Nagomu Tabaki is back as the resident DJ here, and the dance actor, aka the first person who will do a freestyle routine in the intro, is Zio. I believe he's done some choreography work too for Bimani, for Dance Rush and Dance Around. But other than that, there's the change to Stewart was gonna be interesting. I wonder if he's as good of an MC as Max Power, who's been doing really great job so far. But I guess they couldn't secure Max Power for the entire BPL. Anyways, I think I should probably conclude. Anyways, yeah, that was my analysis of the round 5 and round 6 matches of the BPL first stage. The BPL DDR first stage, I'm sorry. But yeah, I hope that, maybe if you watch this after, maybe a lot of people watch this after the BPL, but I hope my guesses are correct, and I hope just my explanations would have helped in your general viewing experience. I'll be back next week for sure, should be, with coverage of round 7 to round 8, which I believe will be the remainder, which I believe will be the second stage matches for the second matches for the remaining teams, which I think it will be Selkat and Gigo and Tohoku and Apina. And yeah, I will try to come up with another recorded video. It'll be talking about the BPL Season 3 2DX draft, which has ended last Saturday, I believe. Yes, last Saturday. Yeah, 2 Saturdays. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, if you've been watching this till now, thank you so much. I hope you have a good day, and yeah, take care of yourselves. Thank you.